I thought I'd come to terms with if I had to retire, but I did not think I was going to have to retire.
Honestly, every single day I'd walk into that supermarket and I'd ask myself, I hated my life. Literally, throughout lockdown, I hated my life. Yes, guys, welcome to the first episode of the Deep Talks pod. I've got myself, Eric, and Danny sat across of me. So we just wanted to start off by saying why we've come up with the idea to start this podcast. So I'll pass it over to you.
So the reason that we're doing what we're doing here is to basically spread awareness for the type of work that we do and what we really believe in when it comes to fitness, wellness, mindset, business, and bring in some of the associates that we've got. My background obviously being boxing and in the fight game, Eric's being football, but how we've both worked with the youth, especially around the Manchester area, and we've been able to see how the world of sport and fitness is able to help so many people. And what I bring in the side of that is then the business side as well, which is obviously going to be able to show how business and sport really do correlate, and how that mindset is totally pretty much coincides with each other and being able to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, so starting off with obviously mindset, we'll start off with your journey.
Yeah.
How do you think the discipline around boxing and your training has then went to impact your life, obviously as a coach, in business and just in life as a whole?
I think it becomes second nature. I think that's a big factor in it, because you've done it from being such a young age and dedicated your life towards something to try and become the best version of yourself. It becomes a habit, like what obviously you see a lot of people talking about. Do things that much, it just becomes the way of your life. I think that sport is a great building block for youth to get into, or even just people to even touch the toe into it. Do you know what I mean? And then that coincides, and obviously with just even going to the gym and getting involved in that. But I feel like sport, boxing, obviously being mine, at a young age, gives you so much direction, because obviously it's fun as well.
Yeah.
And you just want to enjoy doing it. You want to be the best version of that you can be. You want to be competitive, and then as you get older, you really see what them lessons have given you.
I feel
What
like
about yourself? So obviously, I know
Yeah.
obviously with you.
I feel like for myself, football, pretty much the exact same. It becomes a habit, and it's something that's delved so deep into your instincts that it's definitely helped me further on in life. It's a discipline, and it's obviously it's a sport, and you want to be as best as you can at the sport, but it teaches you life skills at the same time that you take on into your life. Like with me, it's the discipline, it's that courage to be up, show up, and be the best possible version for myself. And like we were speaking, with purposes, like at the minute in my life, my purposes are to inspire, to coach younger generation of kids with football, and obviously we're both personal trainers, so I feel like you've got to be, in our industry, you've got to be an example setter at the same time. And when I look back at my life and I think what's been the big game changer for me, and taking me on into my personal training career, it would be that I've done a sport throughout my life, and it's taught me, like I say, to be disciplined. And yeah.
Of course, mate. No, I totally understand that. Well, moving on from there, obviously, like, what is your story? To be fair, mate, like, what was you? I know obviously you was a footballer and stuff like that. Like, give us a bit of an understanding of where it did all start out, and how you're at this point now.
So, I've loved football all my life, and played it all my life. Played it full time, and then went into playing semi-pro. And as a kid growing up, it's all I wanted to do. Everyone I'd speak to, my parents, my mum, my dad, my family, all I wanted to, my eyes were set on being a professional footballer. Life obviously doesn't turn out to be what you take it for back in the day. And as I say, sometimes it can break you or it can make you. You can, take it with a pinch of salt, and you can go and use it and become something of it. So I'd say this is my first full season where I've not played football whatsoever. I played semi-pro, which I didn't really enjoy whatsoever. I'm not going to lie, obviously for me it was quickly realising, and we've had this conversation in the past, it was realising that semi-pro wasn't going to put, you know, enough money for me on the table to go and do what I wanted to do with my life. So I took a step back from that, and then obviously set up my football coaching back in 2020, which obviously we now have got the 6 lads working for AP coaching. And then 2 years ago, February 2023, I've obviously went on to set up my personal training. That's where I met you at Spartan, which is a wonderful gym, by the way. And yeah, we've crossed paths and we're here right now.
That's it.
What about yourself?
So obviously my background was professional boxing. I started that I started training when I was 9 years old. Fell in love with the sport. My journey was stereotypical amateur boxer. Started fighting, did really well. By the time I was 16, I won my first national title, which was a massive aim for me. From being a young kid, and anyone who's in the boxing world would know how difficult that can be, especially your first title. And then moving on to a senior level, we won another one, competing with some of the best fighters in the country. And now, obviously, in the pro game, some of these lads have moved on to sort of do some amazing things. After that, turned pro, signed with Frank Warren. Got to 10-0 in 2 years, and then I had a brain scan which basically deemed me unfit to box. I've got signs of like early stages like CTE, but it's shown up on my brain scan. So, yeah, being so young, the board then took my license, and then that meant that I had to change paths basically. We had a bit of a time where it was a bit all over the place with what I was going to do with my life, because obviously you can't go into a professional sport at a high level and think that you're going to be able to not have everything into it. You've got to go all in. Which I was willing to do. It was my dream, and I was following that. But yeah, after that, got into the coaching just around COVID. Well, just pre-COVID, I was doing little bits and bobs. I've always coached from being a young age, really, in the gym. And then after COVID, I become part of an amateur boxing club. In the first year, we actually ended up getting we had a few Cardi boxers which joined us, but 20 or 30 Cardi boxers out of the group that joined us, which was a big achievement for me as a coach, and fighting and competing and doing really well. In the first year, we did have a national champion as well, a young girl, and we had another lad who got to the semi-finals, which for me was kind of gave me a little bit of self-belief that I kind of knew what I was doing. Well, not that I knew what I was doing, that I could actually prove that I could get results from actually being a coach. And then after that, I left there and set up a business doing boxing coaching mainly at first, training people just to do, the basics, and even training like people even to do like competitive competitions and whatever else. I was training some fighters on the side as well from different combat backgrounds, MMA, Thai boxing, who would come to me and train with me, and then this, that and the other. Moving on from there, then we really started pushing my PT side and tried to develop them skills, because it was just another avenue for me to help people. And that's what I do obviously now at Spartan. We do the boxing, we do the PT. Obviously me and you have both, I've started a retreat a couple of years ago, now Ibric's doing that as well. So that's kind of like my whole journey to this point in terms of my business. And what I've learned along the way, mindset wise, and about fitness and about where I'm at actually in terms of that as well, has been all down to being involved in sport and fitness. Yeah,
it's a gift.
Yeah.
Whilst you were boxing, did you always think of being a coach? Whilst you were growing up boxing?
There was always that. I was always that element in me. I'd always help the lads out in the gym. That was something that it was just part of who I was. I'd be taking classes at 14, 15. My coach would just sometimes say, right, Danny, you run this bit of the class, whatever. And that was my thing. And then even sparring, like when I knew I was like, say, where's the lads in the gym, levels above, I'd help them out. I'd be coaching them in the ring, do you know what I mean? That was always just my way of being, do you know what I mean? I always wanted to help people out. It was never an ego thing of beating people up, really, like, do you know what I mean? It was just more like, I will help you out in the gym and stuff. It wasn't like when I was fighting, it was about winning, do you know what I mean? And doing a job. But like when I was in the gym, it was always part of who I was. So the transition into coaching come very, very easy for me. What about yourself?
I feel like it's a passion. I was same 13, 14, and I'd be playing and I'd be thinking, what's the coach thinking, or why's the coach come up with this, or how can I help my teammates for us to be able to win the game? my other question to you would be, when you went through that time in your career where obviously you did find out you've got a problem with your brain and you've got to retire, what was that period of your life like? Like, how have you went on to react from that?
There was ups and downs, I'd say. I've reacted even to this day. Like, obviously, I'm settled with it now and I've moved on from it. But there's always a part of me which will always feel like, what if? Do you know what I mean? Because it was taken away. It wasn't something that I decided that was the end for me. It was taken away, which really did change my mentality on certain parts of life. Do you know what I mean? And I have to be honest, everyone talks about discipline. I do not have the same discipline in anything that I do other than I did for boxing. I can never replicate it. And people could say, do this, mindset and all that stuff. When you have a passion for something, the discipline comes. Even when it's hard, you will go and do that extra bit. You will go and put yourself through that extra bit of hell. And obviously, you still need a release from that as well. You still need a release from that every level of discipline, because boxing is a very disciplined sport. And you need a release from that as well. But with everyday life, I do find that hard to replicate. And I used to hold myself so accountable against that and probably put myself down in my own head and make me feel so, not like, but you know, it was just one of them, like, you're not the guy who you used to be, but you have to just accept that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, you know, even in the gym or wanting to achieve something that
too hard on themselves.
Yeah, too hard on themselves, but at the same time, you know, they're waiting just to be motivated, and I don't feel like, you know, even us as an athlete, not motivated every day.
I just think you just got to do what you got to do, and you got to do what you got to do at certain times in your life as well, which might not always necessarily be the best thing for your fitness health, but also might be better for your mental health. Or do you know what I mean? It's just it's a lot of different things that you got to take into play. So obviously between me and you now, like, obviously we kind of touched on like our connection of how we met, but I think we're probably better off giving a bit of the people a bit of an understanding as to why we have thought of this thing and like connect it to what our purposes are from doing this podcast, and our purpose in what we do.
Yeah, so 100%, like we've said in the past, for me it's being able to have a lot of different opinions on the podcast of people that have been in sport or that have just excelled in any area of life. Now, it doesn't have to be anything in the fitness industry. It can be, you know, stuff to do with business, people that have
overcome things.
Yeah, overcome things.
Stories, do you know what I mean? And we are looking for people to like reach out to us with you know, like their stories 100%. and something that they might even want to talk about, do you know what I mean? And we can really like highlight and show people, because obviously a lot of the podcasts that you see, it's a lot of people that might even be established and kind of know the stories.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas like, and obviously because we have a presence on the online, but a lot of people might know stuff about us. Some people might not, but a lot of people that do follow might know stuff about us. Yeah. It'd be good to get people that, like, just everyday people that have done things that you don't even expect. Do you know what I mean? And we're lucky to meet the people that we meet.
Exactly.
Through what we do, where we meet people that have like done exceptional things, and you're like, no one would know.
No one would know.
And it's great to be able to potentially get them on something like this and talk about that, and be able to show that, like, how their journeys within fitness, business, mindset, life, has put them into a position where they are today, and put them on a journey what they might be going on. And I think that's what I love about what I do as well, because we can sit down or meet people in the gym, or just because we have to network a lot, to keep our businesses flowing, that they tell us our stories. And I think with being a PT, the skill set of it is be able to connect with people. You have to connect with people, and I think that's why I feel like what we're doing here now, we can get some good people on here, and some good conversations started.
I feel like the best thing about it is we've just jumped in the deep end and we've just said, listen, no clue how we're going to figure it out. We're just going to walk. We're going to walk, and the path's going to pave itself.
We're going to run before we can walk, you mean? I think we're just going to go with this flow and just see what happens. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like we're both two chatty lads. Sometimes you can deem us as weird, but it's that skill set to, you know, I used to be someone that used to be very intrinsic and didn't really, you know, shied away from a conversation, wouldn't really speak to anyone you know, new or anyone that I don't know. And I feel like, just being...
Well, obviously, I mean, anyone who visits Spartan and stuff like that, we always say, like, Eric changed within about 6 months. He went from being a little introvert in there, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he's turned into an extrovert, and talking about all sorts and
But
doing
it's-
whatever he's doing.
I feel
I
like
said
it's,
you're a weirdo.
I feel like it's that thing though. Honestly, like in my life in the past 2 years has genuinely changed so much, and I feel like being with people that are like-minded, people that have similar goals to you, people that are striving to improve themselves, working on themselves every day, does create, it makes you want to do it more. Like when I see you, for example, or anyone else in the gym working or speaking about what they want to do or the plans for the next year, and just in general, just grafting. Our jobs have me anyway up very early doors and then up till very late, and being around people that do the same thing does really have a positive effect on me. Obviously, don't know about yourself. I feel like it's the same.
100%, yeah, because you know what, and all, like, I feel like when you're around people that are doing, that you're grafting, I mean, like I always say to you that you're one of the hardest workers in your area of what you do, that I know, like 100%, mate, like you've smashed it, you smashed what you're doing, and I take my hat off to you. When I first started out doing coaching, I knew that you have to, again, I had to go all in with something, because I thought, well, you know what, I found something that I'm good at, that I enjoy, and I'm loving doing the stuff with the kids, especially at first, and stuff like that. But also having to get paid in whatever way that I could. Do you know what I mean? As much as I could, obviously, because we're ambitious people. We want to get what we're worth. But yeah, honestly, mate, when I see like the hours that you put in, mate, and you've done it for a long period of time, I take me out of to you. Do you know what I mean? And I think like, you sometimes are even an example to me, like, because sometimes we all fall off a little bit. We all lose that, and I do every now and again doing what we're doing, because we are ambitious and we want to see sometimes progression, and sometimes you don't see that progression. So what you do is you lose motivation, and you've got to hold yourself accountable to that. But having people there that are also grinding and grafting, and you look at them, you're like, I need to pull my finger out here. Do you know what I mean? And that's someone, obviously, maybe I've been that for you, but I know you've definitely been that for me as well, mate.
100%. And I feel like as well, like you've just said there, you've just got to go all in with something. I feel like sometimes as well in your life, there's periods of life where everyone speaks about balance. I 100% disagree with that. Like, I feel like sometimes your life has to be unbalanced if you want to achieve something. Like for me, it was genuinely like probably sacrificing everything in my life other than personal training and my coaching business, and I just went all in. And I feel like, people can do life two ways. You can either sacrifice your 20s and build something for later on in life, or you can go and live your 20s and then.
I think there's no right or wrong.
There's no right. No, there's no right
or wrong answer to that. And this is something that I do feel like a lot of content out on the internet tells people how to live, and that's not that, again, purpose-wise. My purpose of this is not going to be that. Well, I would like to motivate people to be able to maybe see things slightly different. I've taken different people's points of view. That's why we're going to get good guests on here that are going to talk about their journeys and how they see life and how they see fitness and how they see business and whatever else, and be able to understand there's not always one way of doing things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not one way of doing things. Me and you do things slightly different. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm a little bit older than you, like not much older, but like my journey in life has been a little bit different to yours, and I've found that the extreme side of things sometimes can be too extreme. Do you know what I mean?
I agree as well.
And you've got to try and find that equilibrium at times. Do you know what I mean? Equilibrium in life for periods of time are good, and I've been guilty of that. My mum would be want to say that to me, like, chill out. Do you know what I mean? Like, chill out. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like, that's where it's a good conversation to be had with different people, because your mindset, like I say, is brilliant in the sense of like you put everything into everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, when you look at it on another front, maybe someone can't put everything into everything because they've got a certain situation going on. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that you got to take into account as well.
Yeah, take into account. Like for example, when I look at you, it's like I respect the fact that you've been through adversity and then you've still made it out on the other end, and you're still doing well for yourself, and you've still got you've got your business, you're still enjoying your life, and there's a lot of people that, like I've said before, even make sure it breaks you. You could have sat there, what was it, 23, 24?
No, it was 22. 21 when I actually had to stop.
21.
22 was when, I was working on a building site, and I thought, to be honest, I did not really, over the period of months when I was going through all the checks and all that stuff, I genuinely thought I'd come to terms with if I had to retire, but I did not think I was going to have to retire. It was one of them. I thought, if I have to retire, I'll be sound. I'll get over it. That was what was in my head. I thought, I'm working here on site. I'm earning all right money. it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? But this isn't going to be me. I'm going to do something. I'm going to get back in the ring. I'm going to build myself back up. But I had a taste of normal life, which was dangerous. That was also dangerous as well for an athlete, I think, because I spent 7 months working on a building site, training 3 times a week, just ticking over in the gym, doing a bit of coaching, and going out on the weekends.
Yeah. See, here's
because that's what my I thought I might have to retire as well, and as well it was a release because I was so stressed, really. But about the situation, it was a release at the weekend, and we're going out, and I probably went out too much during that time, 100%. But I had, in a way, it was a release, and all right, people can say about, oh, you shouldn't use that as escapism, but sometimes you got to do the way that you live life how you want to live it, but you got to have that self-control to know what you're doing can sometimes be detrimental to yourself as well. And when I did officially have to retire, I thought I'd be all right. A month later, I did have a small little breakdown in terms of that, and I had to reevaluate like maybe the certain things that I was doing and how I was living, and try and dial in again and get myself back onto a track that I needed to be on to move forwards positively, really.
You say you've had a taste there of normal life. What would you say normal life to you is? Like, personally, I feel like...
No, well, exactly, mate. Everyone's definition of normal life is different, but maybe me as an athlete back then would have been like, well, it's normal to the person, if I wasn't training like what I was doing and being a boxer and I was a bit more immature as well, do you know what I mean? My thing was like, all right, then, normal life, you go do 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever you're going to do, yeah? And then you go out and do whatever you want to do as well. Do you know what I mean? You eat what you want, because that was a big thing for me. You can drink what you want. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, obviously, you got to have that balance.
I feel like that can be a trap as well for a lot of people.
100%.
That's a big trap. Like, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and looking forward to the weekend, especially at a young age, because time flies.
Time does fly. And time goes too quick.
You look back and, you know, I've not been there yet myself. I'm fortunate enough to only be 23, and I haven't already realised that, you know, you've got to put in the hours, and you've got to see yourself in the future and look at how you want to get to that goal. But at the same time, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and make sure
take everything too as well. Like, I don't think take everything too serious and all. Like, do you know what I mean? I was.
That's a good thing that we do.
Exactly. When we have a bit of fun, don't we? So I was sitting down like yesterday actually with a friend and talking about some stuff like that, and like how much he'd put into getting to where he is now, and then he's nearly there where he wants to be. But then that's still the goal will still move. Is that guy? But he also does say, like, obviously he dialed in and maybe dialed in a bit too hard.
I feel like that's
what I mean, and that's a fine line. There's a fine line with that, because you miss out on things, and you know what, you've got to sacrifice. You've got to, if you want to be exceptional, you do. But at the same time, though, you've got to weigh up certain parts of that. I believe personally, and I feel like there's a big message going out a lot now on the internet where it's all about, if you're not dialing in,
what are you doing?
Yeah, but that's not true. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like when I say I couldn't, me personally, the 9 to 5 life, or like a status quo job. I know obviously we've got normal jobs, not like that, but like we still can striving towards maybe options and something might pop up and we'll go there, and do you know what I mean? And like running our own thing, working for ourselves. I mean, for you smashed it with guys working for you, doing the coaching as well. Do you know what I mean? And like having like that pressure on you.
Yeah, it's the pressure.
The pressure, it makes it life exciting for me, having that bit of pressure on me and having that something different every day. Do you know what I mean? When my life becomes the same old,
it gets boring.
And I've never been like that's because I never. My life was not never really like that. I hated school for that reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I hated school, like, really. Like, I wasn't bad in school, but I hated school for that reason. It was just too much of the same.
Yeah. Waking up and, you know, some mornings you wake up and it's like, you've got so much to do, you don't know where you're going to end up by the end of the day. And I like that spontaneous of, I know I've got to wake up every day and it's down on me to work and provide for myself. And, you know, personally, I wouldn't change it for anything. I've been there, I've done it, you know. I've worked in a supermarket for 3 years, and
same.
Honestly, every single day I'd walk into that supermarket and I'd ask myself, I hated my life. Literally throughout lockdown, I hated my life, and I'd ask myself, what have I got to do to just get out of here and
I didn't just hate my life. I hated the people.
been fortunate enough to.
But,
I feel like with a mindset, it's a very, the growth mindset it's something we've both got, and I feel like it's a very dangerous thing to have, because you've got to draw a line of where you're satisfied and happy. Otherwise, you never are, and you'll always sacrifice more. Like I know very, very successful businessmen in the late 40s, 50s that have sacrificed time with families, sacrificed their health for money. And I feel like once you achieve a certain amount of money, your life doesn't really change. You're only striving to achieve even more.
More and more.
And it's a dangerous cycle to get into.
That's why your lifestyle can change, okay, as well. I think that's the big one. When your lifestyle changes, it's hard to take that back. It's hard to take it back. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where more and more and more, and that thing of having more and whatever else, and like that's why again you got to have that like that word with yourself. I think. Do you know what I mean? And
turns to greed.
And get yourself back in. But that's in loads of different avenues, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
But obviously, speaking on the point of us two knowing each other, just in general in life as well, like having people that are on your level, people that you're striving to compete with, and then like for me personally, having people that work for me, having to be the example setter, and people that I pass on information to, creates that little healthy balance of, I want to be there, I've got to help these people here, but at the same time I'm competing with someone as well, which can create, purpose to your day. And that's another big thing. I feel like a lot of people at the minute don't have a purpose to the day, and that's where this whole, so-called depression comes in, and mental health, and people are,
I feel like obviously, I mean, I'm not an expert on depression and anxiety and all that stuff, and obviously it's a very prominent thing as well, like in our society right now. But I think our society, the way that it is, I mean, I only really know from living in the UK, but the UK at this moment in time, for a lot of people, it's a very hard place to live.
The weather.
It's not just the weather, mate. It's just there's a lot of, obviously, like you look at what's going on. Do you know what I mean? All that type of stuff with taxes and keeping people down and suppressing people, and there's still a very high level of competition in the workplace in this country. 100%. So it's like, and everyone's trying to, well, not everyone, but a lot of people are trying to be the best version of themselves, whether that's working within a company or whatever else, and it can be very hard for people when they're not seeing that reward and all. Do you know what I mean? And that's another thing. I think that as a big factor in it, then they lose the way, and that's where fitness comes into it.
Yeah, that's the.
I say this to a lot of people that haven't got that direction in their life, like just going to the gym and doing something.
Anything.
Yeah, something, moving, even if it's not even the gym, go and do something that's physical, because the release that you get from that is sort of different. It's like when you've had even a bad couple of days, right, and you go to the gym, and you've not trained, I mean, as well, like they say, like so much been going on or whatever, and you drag yourself to the gym, you feel good after it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel better. You feel like you've accomplished something. I set myself a goal when I'm busy as well. Like, you're more of a madhead than me. Like, you start doing rocks and shit on your own, like a weirdo. But I don't. I just have a goal in my head most weeks where I want to I train. Right, I say it to myself on a Monday, I'm going to train 4 or 5 times this week. Right, and once I hit that, I feel good about myself. Whether them sessions were sometimes 30 minutes. Yeah. Then I'll say, right, I'm going to get my steps in. I'm going to walk. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that and do the other, and make sure I get that. That's just. And I'm someone who works in the gym who's meant to be, like you say, the example. But sometimes that's all I want to do, and sometimes that's enough for me. Once I've done that, I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Once I've hit that, and I do more most weeks. Once I've hit that, like I feel good about myself, and that's why I try and simplify it to the people that I work with, who aren't gym heads.
Yeah.
They're just someone who wants to be a bit better. And I'm like, right, well, don't have to look at all these people that are flying in the gym. Yeah, start off just by giving yourself a small goal and just achieve that. And then once you've done that, you'll feel much better about yourself.
Yeah, comparison, innit? Comparison is the thief of joy. And I feel like it's just got to be you versus you every day, no matter what you do. Whether you've just got a job there, can you be the best at your job? Whether you go into the gym, just work on yourself. Don't compare yourself to anyone. And, again, comparing us both to each other, I feel like I'm more, full on with my training and with my food. And I feel like that, but that's what keeps me sane. Yeah. That's what keeps me happy, and it keeps me, in check, and it allows me to, it bridges out to other areas of my life. And, whether it's business or networking, working with kids, passing on information, PTing. I feel like being able to eat well, recover well, sleep well, train well, it opens up different avenues in my life, and it makes me the person I am. Like, when I don't train, I can feel the effect of it.
Oh, 100%. I've done it as well. Listen, like I've been consistent with my training for probably the longest period than when I was boxing. I'd had a few times where I'd have, like, when I say a bit of time off, I'm talking a month off. Yeah, I'd have a month of no training. I'd be active because I have a job that's active, but I'd have a month where I wouldn't train, and I'd notice. And I've obviously trained all my life, and I'd notice it. And I remember the first time I didn't train for a long period of time. First time I probably got genuinely, like, chubby, and I remember thinking, like, I had this thing about going back to the gym. I'd like, because obviously my head was a bit fried after the boxing. I was like, this thing about going back to the gym, like, I don't even need to go back to the gym. And it was COVID that really turned that around, because I'd had enough of just feeling like not fit anymore. And obviously I was still only young. Do you know what I mean? I was still, like, I think I would have been 23, 24, whatever. I was like, nah, this needs to change this. And then I realised, as soon as I started training again, felt better, felt good, felt like I deserved, like, to feel good. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, when you're not training, there's a line there for me anyway. I mean, but I do believe that is, if anyone's struggling with something, or anyone's just feeling like they're in a rut or whatever, or like work's not going well or whatever, and they can get in the gym and do something, or go for a run and get a little bit better at running. Take a minute off of time for a 5K or something, even if you're doing it in 35 minutes, whatever you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll feel better about it.
Yeah,
you're accomplishing something for yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that's a massive thing for me with sport. Going on from that now, that's obviously where that's bridging the gap between, like, the wellness side of it, which me and you are very, very big believers in. Obviously, with us touching onto the retreats and stuff like that, and both of us have kind of set up our own thing there, which is all about wellness, fitness, mindset, and taking people away, giving people an experience and giving them something what can really reset and recharge them and put them back into a good flow, and obviously give them an experience that they wouldn't normally have. We're connecting with nice people who are on the same wave and on the same path. So I'll ask you, what's your thing with wellness? What's your, like, take on it? What's your belief with it?
See, I feel like, obviously, with my retreat, it's not just an opportunity to go and train and to go and eat well. It's a networking opportunity, and it can mix business with fitness, with good nutrition. Nice weather. You're away in a hot country, but with wellness as a whole, I feel like everyone has a different opinion on it. Now, for me, who's been training for many, many years, I can be dead full on with my training, but for somebody else, it may, like we just said, it may just be starting off very small.
Well, when you're bringing in, that's obviously that, but you're bringing in obviously, like, the people, a lot of people, like, all right, on the more like the yoga side and and the meditation and stuff like that, like and things like that, is been something that they prioritise, maybe over going lifting weights or going running or whatever. And, like, some of the guys who I've known who do the yoga, some of them are some of the healthiest people that I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't really do. They're physically active, but they're not gym heads. They're not doing this, that, and the other. Like, do you know what I mean?
The goal for me is mixing it all together.
That's what I like. I like to have a taste of everything, me, to be honest.
And like we've said, it's, you've got to start somewhere with it. You've set yours up 2 years ago. I've only just set mine up, and I feel like within the next 5 years, you've got the sesh heads that go Ibiza, they go away, do the thing, but I feel like it is going to be a big thing it's something different as well, to be able to go away, to be able to speak to like-minded people, to be able to eat good food, to be able to train, to be able to spend some time in the sun. And I feel like it does a lot more for people. I mean, look at us now in Manchester past week.
Oh, yeah.
The weather's been incredible.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. And how different is your mood?
Yeah, everyone's got a smile on.
And, partnering that with, like I say, good food, training, the yoga, the sound baths, the cold dips, and being around people that are like yourself,
It's a new. I still believe that. I know there's a lot of people doing these retreats and doing, like, just training holidays with friends and stuff like that. Like, I see a lot of people doing that who I know, but I think that the wellness side of the retreat side of things, is going to be a very, very, very big movement. I do, like, because if you look at a package holiday that you're going to, say, Mexico or wherever, like these nice destinations around the world, and it's an all-inclusive holiday, and you go in there and you end up coming back feeling like you're waiting food, you feel like a slop. I've done a couple of them holidays, and I'll be honest, me, like, I'm not really thinking to go and do them holidays again. Maybe for like 4 or 5 days max. But when you're going for a 2 week holiday or even a week holiday in them places, and you come back feeling like an absolute pig. Now, it's nice for a bit, but if you add that with the fitness side, and you're actually eating healthy, and you're actually going away and connecting with people, reconnecting with nature as well. Like on my one there that I'm planning, we've got like hikes and surfing. Do you know what I mean? We're in the sea, we're like getting all that you can't beat that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Getting in the
100%.
sea, like you just, well, some people hate it, but I mean, I think it's just one of the things that we miss out on if we live in Manchester. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you're looking forward to getting in the sea at any point, or like I say, just getting out in nature and doing stuff like that, and learning things about that as well. Like, because obviously you want to be able to maybe, like, for me, I want to be bringing in the fact that people can have an experience what they would not have gone and done otherwise.
themselves.
Do you know what I mean? So obviously the surfing, the hiking, a bit of this, bit of that. Like, you've got elements there. Like, yeah, loads of people can go down and do a bit of a gym session and do this, that, and the other. But then if you've got all these little things that everyone's getting a taste of on these on these type of holidays, I think there's massive amount of potential going forward, especially with the way that the younger people, than like the generation behind me, like, they seem even more,
Woke to fitness.
yeah, like more not just fitness, but like dialed in on like themselves and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's changed as well. Like I say, even from like my age to like probably just a bit younger than you and like around your age.
Talk to us about obviously your retreat a little bit. When is it? What you're planning to do?
So yeah, so obviously I touched on quite a bit of it there, but yeah, my retreat is starting on the 28th of February, 28th of September, and running to the 4th of October. We're out in Agadir, in Morocco. Well, right next to Agadir, a place called Tagazout. We've got basically a big Moroccan townhouse, full thing, rooftop there where we can do our yoga, breath work, seminars talking about mindset and confidence building and dealing with issues and self-negativity that can obviously then affect you going forward. So we're going to be doing some stuff on that. We've got obviously the gym, which is within the actual premise, so that's fantastic. Boxing, Thai boxing, high rocks type training, also weight training in there. Then we've got the surfing, as I mentioned, the hikes. So yeah, it's gonna be a great experience, and we've got locally sourced organic food as well, being cooked by a chef. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and along pairing that up as well, we have got. I've brought in people to do some beauty type stuff as well. So we've got people doing like obviously just like facials, nails, whatever, hair, and bringing in a bit of Reiki. So I'm just kind of bringing in everything that I can. That is like wellness related and health related and just nice stuff. Do you know what I mean? Caring. Then at the end of it, we will have a little party, as I like to do.
To see.
What about yours, mate?
So ours is in October, 3rd to the 10th of October, and we're in Portugal, south of Portugal. It's called Quinto do Lago.
Accent on it and everything. What's going on there?
Yeah, I got a huge villa. There's 10 places obviously on the retreat, and similar to yourself, we're looking to merge. Well, we've partnered with Scrandigity, who will be cooking again all the meals fresh, whole foods, organic, on site at the villa, and I'm looking to obviously partner the mindset, the cold exposure, the meditation, the sound baths, me personally taking the training sessions and bringing in a few other, styles of training whilst we're out there, hikes, bike rides, surfing. We've got, we're covering quite a lot of things, and
you want to bring in other people's expertise. I think that's something that I've learned from the first 2 experiences I did. Obviously, the first time we just took some friends away, and just kind of got a feel for what we would actually do going forwards. Do you know what I mean? Had a bit of fun and I did a bit of training and stuff like that. We were just basically getting a feel for it. The second time, I learned a hell of a lot, probably a lot more than the first. I learned a lot about how to really kind of like dial in on it, and big one for me was get people in.
Yeah.
Get people in who can send it to another level, because there's only so much that you can do. You're the organizer as well, like, you know what I mean? You got to have people with you that are gonna help you, really, like, allow you to lead as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can be your main role, like, and that's it. I think if you bring in all them things together, and you've got people like who've got expertise in them, it's an amazing experience.
I feel like that's life in general as well. There's a lot of
100%,
people,
yeah.
a lot of people that just want to do things on their own.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I love it partnering up with yourself, or having a group of people that you can rely on, trust. I feel like that brings everyone closer together. I'm looking at you, you're working hard, makes me want to work hard. I'm looking at him over there, he's grafting, and it creates a nice little circle, a nice little environment that allows you to thrive and grow as an individual and as a group.
Yeah.
But obviously, moving on, again, where we cross paths again, you with boxing, me with the football, we both coach kids.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that's been a passion of yours, like I've mentioned, being able to pass on information to younger generations, or is that something that came about after your career? When did you find yourself, obviously?
I've always, I was a kid. I was only young myself when I was in the game. So, and obviously when I was in the amateur gyms, my amateur gym, I'd obviously just help my peers. Do you know what I mean? That was where that was at. I didn't really see it as like, oh, I was helping the young kids. I was just like helping the lads in the gym, because in a boxing gym as well, when you have a level where you're fighting, my gym was like this anyway, that we all trained together. So I was in the gym when I was 9 years old with guys who was like 40. Do you know what I mean? Like, just training because I had a potential, and my coaching potential in me, that I needed to train with the fellas, get pushed hard. Do you know what I mean? So, and I have that outlook as well. Like, when I taught the kids, I wanted the ones who had any sort of potential of being good, and they was ready for it, should I say? Because I mean, the potential can come a little bit later for certain people, but the ones that was ready for it, I was like, get them in with not sparring with them, but get them in with them, and train with the guys who are older, who they can look up to them, and it's like, yeah, like, I want to be like him. Do you know what I mean? And it's a great thing to see, and I love that. But I think the thing with training with younger people, you don't realise the difference that you make in their life. Yeah. That was something, like, obviously, like, and I missed that, like, from doing it as what I did do when I was working over at Wharton ABC. I do miss that. Like, it was touching, that, do you know what I mean? Because obviously, especially with boxing and all, it's a mad sport, like, what it does for kids and young people. It's like, it does it really, like, even kids who are from good backgrounds and stuff like that, like, what it can do for their confidence and what it can do for their outlook on life at that age, it changes their lives. And it never leaves you. Once you have been in that ring, you've done it anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? That experience as a man, now that you was like obviously a lot older doing it, but you won't forget that experience. Yeah. And how it tested you. Do you know what I mean? Experience. So when you're a kid doing it, it's a different thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, it becomes second nature to me, like, dumbed down. But when I went back and did it with the kids, you're like, wow, like, that's different. And I even had kids who come to me. Who was like on, like, we used to do these training sessions for kids who basically didn't have, like, the confidence and had anxiety coming to the gym, or they might have been struggling in schools or whatever, and they come in and do a session with me. I had one kid who basically, like, when he first come to me, I thought he couldn't speak. He just murmured at me, and like, I thought, bloody hell, do you know what I mean? I didn't really know how to talk to him, but he was very good. He had talent. Yeah. 2 or 3 sessions in, I was like, right. And he started talking to me, he started, like, easing off with me. He just had anxiety, and he couldn't really get his words out. But after a few sessions, he starts talking, and then we're getting to know each other and stuff. And I'm like, right, I said, you need to come to the classes, This is what you need. You need to be involved with the boxers. You're too good just to be doing this with me. Yeah. Yeah, if you can compete if you really want to. I gave him that self-belief, I gave him that confidence. First time he come to the class, it was like he took 2 steps back, couldn't speak to anyone. He was like, but the confidence grew over time. Next minute, he's fighting, he's competing. Do you know what I mean? And he changed. His mum would say to me, like, you've changed his life, like, do you know what I mean? And I feel like that part of the thing, working with the kids and seeing that, that's like amazing, I think, do you know what I mean? And seeing how people can change, kids change like that, do you know what I mean? And then you can see it with the adults, but it's different. And this is why, obviously, me and you have that experience together. You are doing it now with the youngsters that you train and trying to help them on their journeys to be the best footballers that they can be. And obviously you can probably see from their parents as well, like when they start performing
Yeah.
better than what they was doing, you're like, and they're coming to you going like, oh, thank you so much, this, that, and the other, he's buzzing, he's this, he's that, do you know what I mean? And I think that's an amazing thing. But what about yourself? What's
nothing
your
better
opinion?
than, like I say, there's nothing better than seeing a kid improve, and then you've got the parents coming down, like you've just said, saying, oh, you know, and I it's the same with my personal training. I sit there and I say, you know, it's all your own hard work, because it does take a bit of grit, determination, and showing up. But I mean, with the AP coaching side of it, I've built that from the ground up. I remember, you know, throughout COVID, setting up, you know, portable floodlights, tying them to goalposts with socks in the middle of the winter just to run sessions. And I feel like it's just diving into something. And like I always say, take the walk and the path will pave itself. And, you know, looking back on it now, 5 years down the line, I would have never thought we are where we are now. We've got, you know, 6 lads that work for us, and I've created a little, you know, like my own little empire. And I would have never thought that.
Well, I remember you saying to me a bit ago though, you was thinking about jacking it off. I remember you saying that, and I was like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah.
That business, that not just as a business, but like, let's say like that, what you're creating as a thing is an amazing thing. Do you know what I mean? And listen, might not make you millions, mate.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is something that I wish I could do. It's hard, and the other thing what you've done well is you're kind of replicating yourself in a sense. I mean, with boxing it's a bit different. Obviously, you can go on the fields and you can rent space on a national turf, and you can do it with a football. Do you know what I mean? With boxing it's a bit different. Obviously, you need a gym and this, that, and the other. And I'm lucky enough to still be involved with the amateur gym and still work with the young lads there that come to me, and I'll advise them. I'll do whatever they want me to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously working with Darren, I'm still working with more senior lads with Darren. But that what you're doing there, where you're getting the kids, and it's in your own business, mate, and it's your baby. That like you don't want to pass that up. Do you know what I mean?
That's our next step, being able to, you know, take someone, and I see a lot of kids, you know, obviously around where I'm from Winshaw, that are not up to no good, and it's like we've said, it's a sport, whether it's football or boxing, that when you do take up a sport, it takes you off the street.
Direction, mate.
Gives you a bit of, you know, bit of purpose, bit of sense of where you want to go in your life, and being able to provide that, like, for us, the reason I do it is I get great satisfaction out of seeing a kid, you know, go from maybe playing Sunday League to be able to get him in touch with, you know, an academy or a professional club and give him a chance at achieving his dream. That's the real reason why I do it, and that's the reason why I've done it from the start. Like I say, when it started in COVID, going back to the fitness, I feel like since COVID, fitness has took a massive turn. I feel like it's more out there now as a whole.
Oh yeah, the industry's going crazy, isn't it now? Like when you look at what's going on, like when you look at what's being put out there now, and it's not even like, well, that's why I feel like the business is connected with fitness so much, like, because all these business guys and all these entrepreneurs that you see are so, like, they're putting out about fitness, they're putting out like about like obviously like what they do to look after themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing, because everyone at this moment in time is looking up to them, because it's hard times as well. People are like saying like, well, a lot of people can't just have a status quo job. Do you know what I mean? Like because it's not enough. It's not enough to. They're trying to look at different avenues where they can better themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they're looking up to these people, and then these people are obviously doing that and being involved in fitness and maybe sporting backgrounds in the past or whatever they've done, and then it gets them people looking at, right, I need to do that, I need to do this, and I feel like that's good, and obviously that's something that we want to put out as well. I mean, not saying that we're on that level of business as some of these guys out there, we're not, but we're trying, and that's all we can do. But our backgrounds has given us a grounding of sport that we keep on it. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that, and obviously you were saying about you being more extreme in your training, me being a little bit more, I mean, don't be wrong, if something fires me up, I'll go and do it. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I get right into it, but it's just obviously, I think, because I've fought at a certain level, and it's but fighting as well, it was hard to replicate anything for me on that front. But that's another thing that I can give other people and talk to them about, and say it doesn't have to be like that, it can be like this. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's good.
I reckon there's a lot of successful businessmen out there that take great care of their health, and if they don't, they regret it, because they've sacrificed their health for something different.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And as well, it's great for stress management. And
Mhm.
what most of these people
Switching
who
off.
are so successful, highly stressful jobs, highly stressful lives. Do you know what I mean? Until maybe they can take the foot off the pedal, which not many do,
Mhm.
because that's the way that they are. Then it manages that. It manages that cortisol. It keeps you. It keeps you in a better frame of mind, a better body state. It's a release. Do you know what I mean? The most
Massively.
healthy, best release that you can have. Do you know what I mean? Which is obviously being physically active, 100%.
I sometimes wonder how do people get about their life not training, not eating well.
Mm.
It's, I don't know. I just feel like you're at a very, very low vibration when you don't work on yourself, take care of yourself,
100%.
eat good, train well. Obviously, for us too, I feel like it just bridges into different areas of your life, and it allows you to, for me, having everything that we have going on now, it allows me to perform at my best possible human capabilities. And like I say, if there's one thing that I could do more of, it's sleep.
Mm.
But right now in my life at the minute, it's just not enough
It's not on
time
the
to
cards.
sleep.
It's not on the cards.
But yeah, like I say, if there is something that we could both advise to anyone, is get yourself in the gym, eat well, and it gives you that little bit of sense of purpose, and it gives you something else to do outside of your job. You might hate your job, but go and be the best as you can at your job, and then when you come away from that, go and do something to make you feel good and give you a sense of achievement and purpose with your day.
Yeah, definitely. So what are you looking at now towards maybe like the next 5 years in terms of obviously like maybe with this podcast that we're doing, and also your business?
With the podcast, I want to be able to meet and have conversations with people that are more experienced than me, have succeeded in my field, our industry, and people that have excelled in life and that can teach us something that we don't know. I feel like coaching as a whole, I get coached by other people, otherwise I won't believe in coaching, and I won't coach other people myself. So having someone that can, in an hour conversation, teach you something that would take you years to learn is brilliant for me. That's why,
I've learned the most things that I've ever learned like that. That's how I do learn. I struggle to learn any other way. Like me sitting down in front of a computer. I wish I was better at it, but it's really I struggle with that.
I can't.
I mean,
that.
like, to be fair, like I think because obviously you have time doing something as a profession, which is like what we do, which is hands on, and that's how we got into it. And then I've been a boxer, you've been a footballer, like you kind of get used to being that way inclined. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're doing something and you're learning it, and that's how you do it. Conversating with people and like taking information on and having a little research yourself about that because you have an interest in it. But I find I get more interested when someone's talking to me about it. Do you know what I mean? And telling me their thing and what they've done. Do you know what I mean? And I can look at that and go, wow, that's interesting. Do you know what I mean? And how their emotion is when they're talking to you, rather than it just being told to you in a book and like, you know what I mean? It's just not me. It's not the way I wish I could, but it's just not me.
Not me
and I
either.
feel like this is where something like this, and we're getting people on like that, will be good. And like I say, for like talking about what the goals and stuff for the podcast of what we can do here, like we want to be getting on people like we mentioned before who even reach out to us and say like, tell us their story, and we're like, right, okay, that sounds something that we want to talk about. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that's a bit different, and we want to learn.
Yeah, don't really have to be someone with a big following or
No, does it heck? It's just people who've got. I mean, I've got a few people in mind. I mean, we've talked about a few there.
That too. Obviously, the goals for the next 5 years, and we've already spoke about it. Listen, I wanna be out in Dubai, 100%. I'd be lying if I told you something different. But at the same time, I feel like we're very sometimes ungrateful at what we have here. A lot of people say, "Oh, the UK's shit, the weather's shit," but we're safe. We've got healthy.
For the most part, yeah.
depends what end you're from. We're safe. You've got food. There's decent jobs. It's
not the worst place.
It's a well-paying country.
It's definitely not the worst place. But there's places that are coming up that have potential. But at the same time, we are lucky with what we do with our businesses, and sometimes the grass ain't always green. You've got to the grass that you're on, don't you? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I've looked at Dubai. I've looked at loads of different places myself. and weighing things up and thinking about things, and I'm just keeping them options open, and whatever opportunities come our way, I'll take. You don't need much to be happy. Do you know what I
Definitely.
mean? You don't need much to be happy. It's about how you look at things. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's
100%.
another big factor.
Yeah,
So,
change yourself from within, and your life will change around you. But yeah, probably like I say, that's definitely an option. And then just staying in, growing both the businesses, growing this podcast, like we said about the retreats there, and just having a few avenues in my life opened up to be able to do well in, and give me a sense of purpose and achievement.
That's the one, mate.
That's What about you? What are you thinking next
I'm
few
in a
years?
very similar boat to yourself, mate. Do you know what I mean? I just want to keep doing what I'm doing in terms of, like, obviously I've got my day-to-day stuff which I do, but at the same time I want to try and find other avenues of progression. Do you know what I mean? Because that's something where when you get stale, and we're too young to be stale, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I at the same time though, I want to be able to do that, to have experiences. I'm not going to be one of them who gets caught up too much in my work. Like, it's just not me. I do not. That for me is a waste of life.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I don't want to see it as work. When I do it too much, I see it too much as work, and then I can't be the best version of what I am to the people that I work with, because it shouldn't be like that for me. Do you know what I mean? Because it should be like something that I'm actually passionate about, that I'm actually doing, that I'm giving the best out of it. So, and a big thing for me is traveling and seeing different places and having these different experiences.
That's a big one for me.
With
Traveling.
good people, meeting good people, having good people around you, having fun, man. Like, you can't beat that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't, whether that's even just sometimes in the day-to-day stuff that you're doing in work or whatever, but you can't beat having fun and finding a joy in your everyday. And sometimes it's hard to find because you're getting yourself worked up about the stress that you have on yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the pressure that you put on yourself as well.
You need a little holiday. You need a little break.
100%, mate. 100%. I never shy away from that. Do you know what I mean?
But it's like I say, I feel like for me, I enjoy waking up in the morning knowing that there's an opportunity to grow, or there's something that I'm nervous about. And going back to your point there, when you are doing them graveyard shifts, it does become a bit, over the top. And like I just said there, sometimes you do need a little break. But again, relating it to the travel, I'd much rather spend my hard-earned money that I've sacrificed my time for and my energy to have an experience that I can think back to, or go to and go, oh, do you remember when we done that? Or go to one of my mates, oh, do you remember when we went there?
Yeah.
Rather than spending money on something materialistic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's very
100%. But everyone's different, though.
Everyone is different.
Everyone's different. But yeah, like for me, like I'm more about like, having an experience and doing nice stuff and
memory.
And I'd like to. We're all trying to buy time as well, really, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? That's another thing. Like, we're all trying to buy as much time as we can to do them things that we want to do. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably my goal then in the next 5 years, is to have more time to do that,
To do your thing,
and not be stuck in stuck's the wrong word, but do you know what I mean? Like where you are, like and you're having to use loads of time to be making more money and trying to put that money into making more money, and you want to be able to have just that enough comfortable enough to be comfortable where you can go, I'm going to also step away a little bit and I'm going to go and do this.
View on life, be then. What's your like ideal? There's not an ideal scenario, but what do you think? Like, where would you be satisfied, happy with? Got any certain goals? Like,
who knows? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I'm happy with if I'm healthy. My family and the closest people around me are all healthy. And I have the opportunity to be able to move around a little bit and travel, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I have something to look forward to like that. Like, that's something I look forward to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely, like, and being able just to go and have different experiences, like right now. But in 5 years' time, that may change. I might have a child. I might have this, that, and the other, and then I'm building something for them. Do you know what I mean? And taking them on them experiences. Do you know what I mean? But right now I don't. You know what I mean? It's just like me and my life and the people around me. But yeah, I obviously, I mean, a family's a big one for me, 100%. But when the timing's right on that,
definitely.
and when it feels just yeah, do you know what I mean? And it feels like I can, slow down a little bit, do it, maybe.
That's the nature of our job. I speak to people, family, friends, and they're like, well, how have you got time to, you know, have kids or have a girlfriend? And right now in my time, that's not purpose.
But it would it'd change at the drop of a knife.
And it can change 100%. And that's when, you know, when it does change, that's when I'd be ready for it to change. At the minute, I'm growing, I'm building. Like I say, my little purpose to me is sacrificing my time and energy to, you know, be able to buy more time, have more resources, have more money, and have that freedom, be able to travel,
more in down the line,
be able to experience things, and, you know, one day sit there with my children and be able to tell them some of
the shit you've done,
some of the experiences that I've had. but going back to sport, and here's a big one that we disagree on. What is technically the hardest sport?
Technically the hardest sport? Well, I haven't tried every fucking sport, so I don't know. But I do believe combat sports in general, they're overlooked of how technical they are, and I think when people actually give them a go, there's a lot of technical aspects to it and tactical aspects to combat sports that people who even are good will never even grasp. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know obviously you're going to say like about football and this, that, and the other, but I do feel like I'm talking, let's say, like if you look at a Premier League player, right? They can do most things. They can do most things when it comes to playing football. Like, do you know what I mean? You look at some boxers that are really, really good and like tight, like, you know what I mean, the equivalent of a Premier League football in boxing, and there's certain things that they will not be able to do when it comes to boxing. Do you know what I mean? And they're just like levels and different technicalities and different things that you can, and different styles and all these different things that come into play. And the same with like MMA, and the same with like even wrestling and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of different elements that come into it, which that's why for me. And obviously my experience within sport, because I've been around that, where I think, it's and as well, you're getting punched in the face, or you're getting choked out, or you're getting something going on that you don't really feel very comfortable in. Do you know what I mean? And that makes it a hard sport as well as very technical as well.
Yeah.
Then come at me. Give me come then.
First one, I feel like you see a lot of athletes playing football, but when it comes to footballers doing different sports, they look a lot better. But
hang on a minute, that doesn't give no context of why football's more technical.
I feel like there's a lot.
You're saying that other sports people, when they play football, look shit.
Yeah, just look
but
shit.
You're saying that when a footballer goes and maybe does a bit of boxing, he looks alright.
Decent, yeah.
Me, not to a boxer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. Listen, we all pretend we lie to you and that just to make you feel good, man. You look shit. You're not good.
I'd love to see this man.
Oh no, mate, you don't. I'm bad at football, mate. That's one thing that I used to be embarrassed about, man. When I was a kid and that, I thought, why am I so bad at this game? Like everyone plays it, everyone's alright.
Sounds like a pedo.
Oh, mate. They always used to put me in the maddest positions as well, like for school and shit. Like I'd be like a left back or a right back. I had no purpose there. Do you know what I mean? I just used to run a lot and shit. Do you know what I mean? But I was terrible.
I feel like there's a lot more things that you can't control in it, not just in football, in a team sport.
Listen,
I feel like, you know, you can turn up as a striker, score a hat-trick, right? But your defender's been on a night out and he's conceded, you know, your defense.
All right, so you're on about the variable of other people. Like,
yeah.
I get that. The
beauty of combat sport, and this is why I wish I took it up when I was younger, it's just you. And I like that ownership of just me.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, you step in a boxing ring, you've not prepared right, you're done.
But there's also a lot of variables that can come into play on that as well within combat sports. You know what I mean? That people don't see. People actually don't see it. Do you know what I mean? Like you could have done everything right, and then one little thing can happen, and you still got to get in that ring and do what you've got to do. Do you know what I mean? And the mental side of that is very difficult. I mean, a story from mine would be when I got an infection in my hand the day of the fight. I got cellulitis in my hand, and my hand blew up like this is a pro fight as well. My hand was literally a balloon, and you couldn't touch it. It was killing me. I thought I'd had a stress fracture or something that had gone missed. I had to go to the doctor. The doctor sees me. Obviously, I've sold like 100 tickets. Third pro fight. I'm thinking I don't get paid if I don't fight. Next minute, I'm in with a doctor, and I'm like blagging him that I've got tendonitis. My hand, I couldn't even put my hand. When I was getting my hands wrapped, I couldn't even put it on. I couldn't touch the pads with it, and I was like, right, we've got a job on tonight. Do you know what I mean? And then we have to just deal with it. Now when I got out of the ring, I was like fucking fuming with the performance. But then I got wrote off the fight with broke. Anyway, I ended up having this infection and had to take antibiotics for ages with it. But yeah, it was just one of them things, and that's a variable that you have to deal with. Do you know what I mean? And that takes a lot as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a certain mentality that you've got to have to be able to get in there and do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm still convinced it's.
Oh, you can be. You're just a little bum boy, aren't you, for football? And it is what it is. But yeah, right. So just to close it off, anyway. Over the next, say, like coming months and stuff, with what we're going to be putting out, what type of guests will you obviously be looking at, like early doors, like just to give people a little bit of information? Maybe don't have to drop any names. Or
Yeah, I'm not
like
going to drop any names, but you know, a few ex pro footballers, with yourself, some of the pro boxers, you know, ex pro boxers, and you know, I'm not going to drop any names, but people that have, like we said, excelled in life, excelled in a sport, excelled in business, and like Danny's mentioned there, you know, if you are someone that's looking to come on, drop us a message. I'm sure we can organise something. But yeah, just for me, I want to use it as a learning curve myself. You know, be able to hold a conversation with someone that's went and done something for themselves, and you know, changed other people's lives. Really, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's similar to what you're saying there. Anyone with a story, really. Anyone with a decent
weird
little story, even if it's something is a little bit weird or whatever, just someone who's got something to say, do you know what I mean, and something to talk about. And then because obviously we're lucky that we do get to meet them types of people a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it all, mate.
First episode done.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
Plenty more to come. This is just the start.
So yeah, cheers,
All
guys.
done.